Hello, welcome to the locker room here at Exploria Stadium. We have a special treat for you here on SuperDraft Day. Orlando City head coach Oscar Pareja and Orlando City Executive Vice President of Soccer Operations Luis Muzzi joining me, Evan Weston and Miguel Gallardo from the Orlando City broadcast team. We're going to break down Orlando City's day at the 2020 MLS SuperDraft. The first pick off the board for Orlando City. This was the big one and a really exciting pick. Daryl Dike declared for the draft pretty late up towards the actual draft itself. Sophomore forward out of Virginia, 6'2", 220 pounds, and one of the best players in this draft. Many considered him to be the best player in the draft. So, Luis, I want to ask you about the process of going into this draft when you found out Daryl was coming out, if he was somebody you were going to target, and then did you expect him to be on the board at number 5 when Orlando City came up on the clock, and how easy was it to pull the trigger when he was?
Yeah, I think that studying the draft and the possibilities is a process that takes a little bit of, getting the guy there. You assume that the guy's going to be there according to your planning. If he's not there, of course, you have to adjust. But we thought that he was going to be there. We talked to the agent a little bit.
Yeah.
He expressed interest in playing for Orlando, said he was very excited. So that's very important for us. We want someone who wants to be here. We always go through endless lists and possibilities for the draft. But we did expect that he was going to be available, and that was our first choice. We're happy that Daryl was available at number 5, and we're able to select him.
Well, attacking players are always exciting. Profe, I want to ask you a question. In 2014, you picked Tesho Kendele, and he ended up being Rookie of the Year. So you got a good track record of developing quality forwards. When you look at DK, you look at his abilities. He mentioned 6'2", 200 pounds. It looks the part. About his characteristics, what excites you about him? What do you think about his game that can affect and impact your game positively, the way you play?
Right, Miguel. And I have learned through the years in this game, when you're evaluating players, that the first side is just to get in love about something of that one player. And now that you mentioned Tesho, which was at the moment a crazy pick, just coming from a second division and then probably not being rated so high. And I remember the day that we see him in the combine and that talent that Tesho had to finish in a specific area, and I just get in love of that one characteristic of him. And obviously, through the years, you learn from the player that there's many other stuff to get better at. But with Dike as well, and something that we discussed with the scouting department, with the other coaches, technical direction, is the capacity that he has to hold the ball and the power. I think people will get excited about having a young talent, because, by the way, it is the youngest, or probably one of the youngest in the draft, and being that one forward that will add to Orlando different characteristics. So I'm excited.
Orlando has a pretty good track record of picking guys that have significant minutes. You look at Chris Mueller, you look at Kamal Miller. What sort of expectation do you have on a player of this caliber?
He needs to come with a conviction, and Luis says it, he wants to be here first, which already provides us an identity with the project. The other part is that he needs to come here with the conviction that he needs to fight for the position. The competitiveness in the roster is important, and then Daryl needs to come and fight for that position. He has in front of him people who has experience, but he has that conviction. He gives us the opportunity to challenge each other.
So 3 players that you selected in the second round this year. So there's going to be a competition there in camp as they get brought in. Joey Desart, defensive midfielder out of Wake Forest. Johnny Dean, who is a fan favorite, is the captain down the road at UCF. And then Austin Avisa, goalkeeper out of the Northeast, most recently at Providence. Could you just tell us a little bit about those 3 players and what jumped off the page for you with those guys to maybe bring them in and give them a chance?
On those picks, I'm going to tell you what the process, because I know people would like to hear. We wanted to have versatility in the middle. We have a list of players in the middle, and when we see these are there in the Final Four, and we see the tools that he has, and so we were happy with it. And after that, well, we're just trying to put someone who can give us another option defensive position. He can stress the other ones that are in place. And the same with the goalkeeper. He's somebody who can come and show us that can compete for the position. It's always good to have options, despite of the players that we have here, and we're excited.
Joey, coming from a program that we discussed, like Wake Forest, is a program that they like to keep the ball, they like to play the game, and that kind of is something that we like about him. Of course, when you're looking at pick number 31st and 31, 39, and you're already looking at we're going to have to find another Kamal Miller, who was a number 27, and 26 people passed on Kamal. And so we're looking at the guys that are kind of a little bit hidden, a little bit, people are not really talking about them. And that's how the coaching staff and the scouting department and all identified Joey in particular. And like you said, Jonathan is right down the road. It's a fan favorite here. He's a guy that we know well. He's in our backyard, and we're excited to have him here and competing. That's the key word Oscar mentioned. Adding competition in all positions and making sure that everybody becomes a better player.
Yeah, love to see the local influence too, with the homegrowns that have been added as well this offseason. I know that's a big point of emphasis for you guys.
Yeah, no, it is. And with the draft, and everybody knows that the draft is being more competitive in terms to the selection, because the academies, the clubs are developing more players, and then that program being stronger, it just challenge as well the college selection on the draft. But still, I would like to remark the job that our scouting department made on just tracking all these guys, because you may think that after the first round it's fine and whatever it comes, but we make sure that our academy players have competition as well with the college program that we respect too much in this country.
Well, we will see these young players. Daryl DK taking number 5 overall out of Virginia. 3 other players selected in the second round. For all the information on them, it's at OrlandoCitySC.com. Luis, Oscar, thank you so much for joining us today, giving us your thoughts.